Okay, to further news on this machine, the T410S without NVIDIA. Very much confirmed that now. Um, I've put Linux Pop OS on there, and there was an initial issue. Just kept restarting, going to the starting really quickly, going to the ThinkPad startup screen. I may flash this BIOS if it's doable. Um, we'll look into that. Just kept restarting, so I tried again, boot from the CD, and tried to reinstall over the top Pop OS. It went fine, okay. So I don't know what the problem was. Maybe the CD was a little bit dirty and wasn't reading off information for the installation properly. Possible, I don't know. Further communication with the eBay seller. Kudos to him or her being communicative. Um, by the way, this is mistakes that happen. It is annoying. I wanted to get going with some ideas for one of these with NVIDIA, but no. I put extra RAM in here though. It goes to, again, there might be a way around it by flashing the BIOS. It goes to 8 GB. I want to double that. It's to 16. Got the X220 on 16 GB with an i7. This is an i5. Imagine what power you can have with dedicated graphics, i7 and 16 gig. You got a gaming laptop really that relatively. I know things are going ahead with if you want to be really top notch, and things like the Ryzen chip, AMD are taking the lead again. Despite Intel being the first people to create the CPU many years ago. That's something that talking to Jerry about the history of technology. He knows a little bit more than I do about that. I'm a brick when it comes to some of the history there, but it was interesting to learn from him that how he said it was very competitive, that even within the company they're all competing ideas on how to effectively effectively a CPU is a computer on a chip in many ways. Regardless, that was interesting, and to and fro to this individual is €70. Okay, I didn't knock him down because convert €70 to UK pounds is a little bit less. Anyway, it's 65 at the moment, and continue to drop. You can push that to my PayPal. Stuff with the words in. PayPal, yeah. As and when he wants. That's it in a nutshell, really. I haven't received it yet. So it's been a day or so ago I said that. Um, Maybe he hasn't seen the message yet, but it's been amicable and communicative to so far, and I certainly respect that. And he was very apologetic over the error of the problem. So, to give you some details on the T410S, make sure if you're looking for one for NVIDIA, make sure. And my mistake might have been I should have perhaps said, can you double check that this has got NVIDIA? Lessons learned on both sides, I guess, there. So you have on the S version, there's more ports on the T410 version. The S means slimmer, despite it being reasonably thick, but for a laptop that came out 2013 maybe, pretty good still. You have a docking bay connector right there. This can fit in a dock with extra ports, USB ports, audio and so on. Has an audio jack combo, which I don't like for many reasons. The docks tend to have microphone and audio separate. Has a always on USB. You don't tend to see those now with a yellow connector. The yellow connector, it just means that there's always power going to that. So if you turn your computer off with a charged battery, you can put your mobile phone in there and you're charging your mobile phone because there's electrical power coming out of off the battery. It's always on. There's some SATA. I don't know what that is. You got internet thing. You got VGA slot, separate display port as well, and your power all at the back. The X220 doesn't have anything at the back. It's at the sides. Even the VGA is at the side. There's in here is the hard drive in there, and it's actually, I think I might have mentioned this before, smaller than the typical ones like these that go in laptops today, unless you got an SATA one as well, like even smaller than these. It's didn't have those back in 2012, so I don't know. It seems fast. I don't know if it's an SSD. It seems to behave that way. Very fast in its data transfer. I noticed that. Far smaller. It's like, and the edge connector is slightly different. It's like that sort of size. I don't know if that's a proprietary thing for that Lenovo thought of, or whether it's just something, a form factor that didn't take off. As to why it didn't take off, slight mystery, because it's a good size that you can fit on there, but it's taking up less space in your laptop, which is always handy. You know, you shrink, you don't have to bulk things out so much. But I like the in between. I don't like the thin, flimsy laptops. It's quite heavy, by the way. I would prefer to take the X220 with me though, because this is quite a weight. But it is actually far bigger. Not a huge amount. It's bigger in, let's see, inch and a bit bigger all round than the X220, I guess, if you were to lie it flat. What else is on here? Because you got your CD drive, CD bay, which can be hot swapped. You basically pull a lever out, pull two levers, and it should just pop out your CD drive, and you can modify this connection to be sort of another hard drive, put that in. So effectively you could have this modified hard drive in place of the CD bay. On top of that you got your much smaller hard drive, smaller in physical size, but yeah, you probably get, I don't know, if there's any, I have to look at the market, see if there's any. I mean, it's a 300 gigabyte one that's in there, which is ample size, really. But the physical size of it smaller. So you can have that, boot from an SSD modified with the CD caddy, hot swappable, very easy to take one out, pop another one in without opening the laptop. There's 2 ways you could boot, and there's a mobile phone chip thing that it can be unscrewed and actually pulled out the socket, not soldered in as well. If I could take that out, that's an M SATA could go in there. That would be 3 boot devices from one laptop, and if I can flash the BIOS so that this accepts 16GB registered rather than 8, quite a powerful machine. Somebody told me i5 can't do that, an i5. Is that right? And I know the BIOS isn't to do with the CPU, but sometimes it's in the BIOS as to voltage settings and all that, as to why your system might not register 16GB. i7 will, I know that for a fact, because I looked that up anyway, and you know, I have it working as an i7 on the smaller, physically smaller machine in front of me that I'm doing this video on, and 16GB i7 on there runs really well as well. Does get hot here and there, and you know, I might be, see if I'm feeling brave enough to get it all taken apart and replace the heatsink and fan for the CPU. I'm looking up if I can get the money back, and it's a fine line on a limited budget. If I can get a T430, because my interest in that is that if you get a cheaper like an i3, bringing the cost down, you might be thinking, only what i3 for? You just, you know, once you're talking about making it powerful, you can't change the CPU. Actually, you can. You can change. It's not soldered in on the T430 laptop that Lenovo put out in its ThinkPad range. You can actually take it apart, and like a desktop, if you ever built a desktop PC, you can actually swap the CPU out of socket. No desoldering or anything required. I wouldn't recommend desoldering a soldered CPU and trying to put another one in its place anyway. It'll probably screw things up. But the socket is there. It's a socketed main board in a laptop, and you know, so today nobody does that today. Unheard of today. Like an i7 in a modern day laptop would be a modified i7 and soldered in, modified for its physical connection, not so much its actual processing ability, but there's different versions, subversions of i5, i3 and i7. So T430 with dedicated graphics and swappable things, you can do a lot with that as well. You do, you know, you could have a system that's 3 ways of booting on one laptop on 3 separate pieces of hardware, like you can with this. I like that effective, because you know, it's not that I could really need it, but I like the thing that I could use one hard drive for this and that. I don't need an external hard drive to keep things separate so much, although that might be wise in some projects and things I might get involved with. But if it's all in one, an all-in-one laptop with 3, like, what if something went wrong with and it's old technology, with the hard drive that's already in there? Well, you just boot from the other one, and you got a separate boot. So I've never really liked even today you get these laptops sold with one hard drive, and it's got a partition on there for you, and on the other partition is software to restore it to factory, how it came how you bought it, how everything gets reset and reinstalled and all this. But what if something goes wrong with that hard drive? You can't even boot from it. You're screwed. If something else is bootable from that's already internal, you can run some software diagnostics from that boot and diagnostics to fix the other hard drive, right? That's why I like them separate. I think it's a brilliant idea, and it's really cool. You've got 3 operating systems on one system, and I like variety. I get bored. Oh, certainly I get bored of Windows. I mean, it's so bland. The nice things to look at, and as well as practicality of what you can do with Linux. Now, I would never have said that. Like, go back about 10 years ago. I think, oh, this isn't as good as this other thing that I might use on Windows. Now, I mean, you got a full Office suite of software that, some people have written whole books on things with, I forget what it is. Try and look that up. It's things that you might get with, like Microsoft's Office software, like your text editors and so on. There's some really cool stuff there, and flexible, and can make hard articles, embed media into different things as well. Which reminds me, on the exploratoryminds.com, where you can write your blogs, there's some editing to that side of things that needs to be done today. It needs to be done anytime soon, really. It's just a cascading style sheet problem where your editing there's an overlap where it's slightly hidden behind the bar that shows your friends list and who's online out of the friends list. Get a green circle around the ones that are online, which is rare at the moment. I've been online a couple of times. I know other people have logged in, but they're never logged in when I'm on. You're welcome to come on in and use the site. I'd like to I want to find some ways to get this going a bit more, like people to the website, and it's difficult, that bit, that's difficult. So we'll see what we can do about getting people to the site. The links are always pasted around on my Twitter, underneath my videos, on my profiles. I now have an Odyssey account, which is handy for a YouTube backup. Every time you upload to YouTube, you think, oh, is this going to be okay? Did I say something that some snowflake mentality says, oh, you can't say that? I find that really offensive. Facts don't give a damn about your feelings, so, thank God Trump is out of the way. Somebody said on Twitter, hopefully Biden can fix the shit that Trump caused. It's worse than that, though. Trump really looked into things that it was easier for him as presidency, and didn't want to deal with the harder things. And it does look like, he would blurt, he's such a liar all the time. He would blurt out, oh, we're dealing well with this and all that. You're not. With the pandemic. Probably doing it at best in the world. What is this? The world is sick and tired of this American egotism where America does it better than anyone in the world. Whatever it is you're doing. Now you do some things and have achieved some things that have been a better achievement than anyone else. That doesn't mean you're good at everything. But the world's sick of that. Oh, we're bigger and better. We have the best. We have the always have the best. Fuck off. I mean, that's why you end up failing. If you sit back and admire the view so damn long, who's maintaining your ship? Nobody. You sit back. Oh, look what we've achieved. While your ship's sinking. That's partially one of the variables is why you get such a prick into politics and then eventually actually in office in the first place. It's a big Achilles heel within the psychology. This is mass delusion going on that you always do everything better than anyone else. This mindset that you created democracy as well. No, you didn't. I'll do a separate video where democracy came from sometime, maybe in the summer. It's things like that are way off at the moment. I'm getting back on track with the other channel, and I'm going to do some videos about the octopus. I've got some plans, written down some details of how I'm going to go about that. Because a space scientist, British scientist, professor, she said it's possible that there's octopus-like creatures on Europa, or in Europa, if you will, because in its oceans, because they think it's oceanic underneath the big sheets of ice. That's a big claim. It's a bit weird initially when you hear that, but all the ingredients are there for advanced biological life. And if you look at life on Earth, well, I've explained how biology can start with something more balanced, but it can evolve to exist in areas on our planet that is very unfriendly to biological life to actually begin to come from, but they can adapt. And they got all the carbon, and Europa's been hit by many things, and there's big geysers coming up from the ice cracks. It's got the ingredients and activity, they think, for biological life to exist then. I think there was another moon around Jupiter that was of interest because of those elements as well, like methane and all this. They did discover methane on Mars. I remember that being said. That was years ago. I'd living somewhere entirely different to where I am now. Still in the UK back then, and different job, but maybe it's because I haven't looked for it. But I haven't seen anything more said on that. So there's another thing that can be written down is look for this. Interested really in all that, our solar system, everything else about that. But that again, that's not just people can be forgiven for thinking sometimes when I do a technology video or this and that, or talk about the laptops, and then talk about the SR-71 military plane. Oh, it's just technology you're interested in then, even old technology. And no, I feel like I'm interested in everything, but I take what feels and looks like the most interesting aspects, hence the intro, giving you that hint. Certainly, we hear a lot about the space programs, SpaceX and all that, and probes going out. So much of it, they're putting a rocket up again to dock with the International Space Station. A lot of that is actually routine, to getting satellites up. A lot of that, and it is exciting. But I find even more interesting and more exciting is space scientists astrophysicists, whatever, and all this, blurting out there might be multicellular complex life on Europa. That's fascinating and interesting concept, and because she said, oh, if they're anything complicated, it'd probably be octopus-like. So, this octopus-like creature, if you look at the octopuses on Earth, which got my interest going on, how strange are they really? Our octopus creatures, and turns out just very fascinating. Really, more than you might think. Down to its camouflage abilities, which is way in advance and far more evolved than anything that else I can think of. You think a chameleon is very good at hiding itself, but an octopus can do it far faster, almost in real time. Chameleons' camouflage is hormone based. It takes a while for the hormone to be pumped around the system and have its effect on the colour change, right? So how does an octopus suddenly in a blink of an eye in some cases, and cuttlefish as well? You know, fascinating how they change the colours, and you probably already know some details, some of you, if you're interested in that, how it does it, but you might not know this, and there'll be more information on that on the other channel about that. So I went in this video, there's another video blog about what's to come, I guess, about the ThinkPad. Hopefully I'll get my money back soon, or partial refund. Ideas I'm doing, music feed still going from the laptop behind me to this channel, and I know that's dropped on and off. So, this channel would be just me sitting here and talking, what I plan to do next. Go and look at exploratoryminds.com. Have a look at the articles on the main blog. If you like what you see, why not join the social pages? If you like the social pages, post and friend me on there. You could private chat with me. You could create your own private chat rooms where I'm not invited. You can talk about many things with other people. We curate, that is, we don't delete that which sounds too outlandish and stupid. We look for those things that might sound outlandish, but if you can back it up consistently with, logic really works when, to me, logic really is like points of data backing up the original perspective and concept. Lack of logic would be self-contradicting here and there, but each contradiction might belong into another separate perspective. This is why some people say there's different forms of logic. There's different contexts and so on. Just be consistent. Otherwise, it doesn't advertise honesty about what you're saying to other people. And whereas you might be honest, but you don't have enough information to know what you're talking about, which leads towards dishonesty, I think. So it's a curating thing. We try to look for that which isn't leaning towards confirmation bias, which is difficult. There's always going to be some bias here and there. I think it's human nature to, people think logic and assuming something would work a certain particular way is the same as logic. It's not necessarily true, but it's logical though to assume something works on a particular way based on past experience. Yeah, but it might be totally different depending on what you're coming across. Okay, I hope that's clear. So this is where people realise there's a lot of work that can be involved in trying to maintain quality information and the most interesting aspects. And how do I maintain anything that I put out there? I welcome other people to say, hey, you said this and that, however it's slightly wrong or outlandishly wrong. I want to hear from you. If you can back up your claim and to point out where I'm wrong, or perhaps you've misunderstood my perspective, we can fix that. Don't attack me because I've got something wrong. Attack the idea, or attack or just say, just be polite and say, we think this is wrong here. Because you see that a lot of tribalistic competitiveness on YouTube and other platforms where people don't know how to debate, attacking each other. You said this and it's stupid because it sounds outlandish. Some Joe Blogs on the street said there's probably octopus-like creatures on Europa. A lot of people's initial response was, you're a white, you're a nutter. But then a big stack of information needs to back that claim up and talk about what is the activity on Europa, why would it support life, what are the ingredients that are there, and why would a scientist say it, and so on. Connect the dots between points of data. For years I've been saying that, waiting for people to connect the dots, and foolishly thinking that nobody's really connecting the dots. It's not that. It's I was looking in the wrong place. That's my fault, not other people's. You gotta seek and look for those people who value consistency and value mistakes because they can learn from them. They value being wrong sometimes in order to utilize that as an opportunity to learn something new. Mistakes and being wrong is an opportunity to learn. My mistake, assuming that because the person who sold this, just because they said it's got NVIDIA, I assume already, yes, that's the NVIDIA one, I want that. And knowing that there are other versions, or other releases without NVIDIA, I knew that, so I should have asked, can you just confirm this in the hardware for this one, because I do know that some are shipped with, some are shipped without. Alright, this is today's video blog. Should I do something like, Friday video blogs, Saturday video blogs, have it one day a week? I don't know. I know a lot of viewers like consistency. That would be a good idea, I think, but I don't always know what I'm going to talk about until I do a video. None of it is scripted, none of it is planned. I like that. I want to be honest as I can with you, and I want people to feel like they're here in a public bar, just chatting with some dude walks in the bar and do you fancy a pint or a coffee? The internet doesn't have teleportation technology yet. So imagine that. Just put your hand in the screen. Cheers. Just bought me a pint. Okay, I'm rambling and going a bit crazy here now. I look forward to doing the next video, and I do appreciate the views. They're few and far between at the moment, but some of that can be down to my own fault, as getting stuff out here and there. The other channel is getting more attention now. As I've said, I'm working on the octopus videos. The biology octopus is just amazing. Like I said, cheers, take care, bye.